The truth you believe in and cling to makes you unavailable to hear anything new. Pema Chodron. At some point, a pivotal moment arrives when you realize, deep down, that continuing on your current path is no longer sustainable. You come to understand that a significant change is necessary, and you're left with two choices: transform yourself or remain as you are. The mere thought of making such a choice can feel overwhelming, leading to a state of paralysis between the two options, stuck in a limbo of indecision. I was once in that exact position, caught in an unhappy relationship, yet unable to take the step to change it. The thought of transforming required an intense internal journey, facing myself with honesty and bravery, and confronting the fears that had held me back. To embrace change meant diving into the unknown, facing a leap of faith where the outcome was uncertain, whether I'd sink or thrive. In the midst of this daunting choice, the allure of familiar comforts was powerful and tempting. I found solace in the predictability of my situation, even if it was fraught with pain and dissatisfaction. At least in my unhappy state, I knew what to expect. That familiarity brought a sense of security. However, juxtaposed with this comfort was the stark realization that if I couldn't muster the courage to leap into the unknown, I'd be condemned to a life of persistent unhappiness and dysfunction. The very thought of this stagnation was frightening. I couldn't remain stagnant, yet I was paralyzed by fear of moving forward. This limbo of indecision was a harrowing place to be. It was a unique kind of despair, filled with doubt, shame, anger, and overwhelming fear. Despite this, it wasn't enough to push me decisively in any direction. For years, I remained trapped in this indecision. Eventually, I recognized that my thoughts and beliefs were not truly my own. They emanated from the overpowering and controlling voice of my insecurities and fears. This voice had become so dominant that it nearly silenced my own inner guidance. One of its most destructive roles was convincing me that every negative thought I had about myself was the absolute truth. I've come to view my codependency, as well as issues like addiction and depression, as seeds planted deep within our psyche. At some point, an event may trigger these seeds, and they begin to grow, fed by our fears and doubts. If allowed to take root, these seeds become stronger and more pervasive. The voice of dysfunction gradually overtakes and drowns out your true self. Eventually, the voice of dysfunction becomes so dominant that it starts to feel like it's the only voice you hear, and you begin to mistake it for your own. But it's not truly you. I liken it to having two minds, my true self and the voice of dysfunction. This voice of dysfunction, shaped by insecurity and fear, had become so powerful and deeply ingrained that it controlled my thoughts and actions. Every mind plagued by dysfunction, regardless of its source, operates with its own set of tactics. In my case, this dysfunctional voice was an expert at employing fear and self-doubt to cloud judgment. Fear and self-doubt whisper damaging messages like, "You're not enough," or "You're not deserving," and they undermine your trust in your own feelings and thoughts, creating a breeding ground for confusion. Inside me, there was a perpetual tug-of-war. I believed that if my desires and needs didn't align with what others expected of me, they were wrong. Each day, the dysfunctional voice hammered at my sense of self-worth, reminding me that I was inadequate, unlovable, and incapable. As this voice grew louder and more insistent, it eventually became the only voice I could hear. Here's the crucial insight. The key to quieting that inner critic is to confront it head-on. We need to challenge its assertions and question its validity. The challenge lies in the fact that any attempt to counteract the narratives of self-doubt stirs up a storm of anxiety and fear. So here's the dilemma. To silence the inner critic, we must disbelieve it. Yet, disbelieving it generates significant anxiety. Anxiety is the weapon of choice for any form of dysfunction. It thrives on our aversion to feeling anxious, using our discomfort as a means of maintaining control. This is what makes it so insidious and hard to outmaneuver. This intense fear of anxiety kept me from confronting my self-doubting thoughts. Despite how daunting it may appear, the path to transforming your self-beliefs involves challenging the inner critic and doing the very things you believe are impossible. You will encounter anxiety and fear along the way. But it's important to remember that no one has ever been harmed by experiencing these emotions. It is simply a part of the process. Experiencing anxiety or fear won't be the end of you. In fact, facing these emotions can liberate you from the confines of your current life and silence the relentless voice of self-doubt. I began my journey by intentionally rejecting any negative or unkind thoughts about myself. If a thought didn't uplift or empower me, I chose to dismiss it. Martha Beck, a renowned author and columnist for The Oprah magazine, wisely states, "Any thought that separates you from true happiness is a lie." This became my guiding principle. By embracing this new mindset, refusing to accept negative thoughts as the ultimate truth, my beliefs and perceptions about myself began to shift gradually. When my inner critic told me I wasn't capable, I chose to trust in my own abilities, however small they seemed. When it claimed I wasn't good enough, I embraced the belief that I was indeed enough. As I affirmed my worthiness and capacity for love, my confidence grew, and my sense of self became clearer. The voice of self-love, truth, and wisdom began to resonate more strongly within me. You must make a conscious choice to stop relying on the voice of dysfunction. Once you commit to this change, I assure you, that voice will start to fade, and your authentic voice, the voice of self-love, clarity, and wisdom, will emerge loud and clear. If you find this video valuable, please like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss out on more useful content. Don't forget to leave your comments below so we can share and learn together. Thank you for taking the time to watch.